All right. Well, I guess it's about that time. Let's start this up. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Chan. Thank you for joining us for tonight's online workshop presented by Tony Rockcliffe of SCORE. He will be presenting on AI 101 Part 3. And what is a greenhouse? Greenhouse is a collaboration between the city and the Chamber of Commerce. We work with our partners such as SCORE, SBDC, and other entrepreneurial ecosystems to provide business owners and entrepreneurs the education, resources, and support necessary to thrive in our local economy. A couple of those side things for you. I will be emailing you, or the greenhouse will be emailing you surveys to evaluate this course. It's very important that you fill this out because one, it helps with our business partners to decide how they can refine the workshops and also determine new workshops that can be available sometime soon. So please make sure you fill out the surveys. We'll be emailing that to you tomorrow, as well as the handout or the PowerPoint that you're gonna receive for you. Outside of that, I think at this point, actually, another quick thing, everyone, please make sure you put your contact name and email address just in case I don't get it. Since we're doing it through Zoom, a lot of times your name on your Zoom nickname may be different than your actual business or the actual business owner. So please put down the name of your business and your email address. And that way I can confirm and then email you the handouts and the surveys. Outside of that, I'm gonna throw it back at Tony, and he's gonna rock the house tonight.
Thank you, Tony. Last month when I did this at the greenhouse, the presenter also told everyone where the bathrooms are, but I guess you're not going to do that, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit different this time around.
Right. Okay, so I'm just letting in somebody else who's just arrived. All right. So as soon as they actually arrive, I will get started. There we go. Okay, so can everybody see full screen this image of a female robot and then what can AI do for artists and entrepreneurs? Because if any of you are not seeing it, good. If anyone of you are not seeing it, you just run your mouse over the top where it says view on the top of the Zoom window and you choose speaker view, I think. Okay, so just a very fast introduction to me, because you'll see how this relates to what we're going to cover tonight. And that was that back in the, actually in the last century, when the internet was just text and blue links, literally, this was 1995, we decided to do something kind of unusual. It's kind of more what we thought was more interesting than text and blue links. So we created an online community set about 100 years in the future, and just to shoot ourselves in the foot, because this was back in the days of very slow modems, we decided to make it in multi-user 3D virtual reality, which was quite a challenge, but we pulled it off. And so what happens is people would be going through the web, looking at their normal text and blue links, and suddenly they'd come across this, which was animated and had sound and music and all sorts of stuff going on. And they go, whoa, what on earth is this? So they'd go in and check it out and get excited and tell their friends. So it grew very rapidly to about 1.5 million members. And what was interesting about it was that these are a bunch of different screenshots from in the town, because it was, like, say, a town. But what happened was we had 1,000 new people signing up and coming into the community every day and flooding into about 100 chat rooms and asking tons of questions, the kind of questions that people new to a community ask. And there was no way we could handle it. We couldn't be in 100 chat rooms simultaneously answering all these questions. So I'd heard of AI, because AI has actually been around a long time. It was actually first AI attempts were 1954. So I was kind of late to the game in 1995, or 1998 in this instance. So I thought, well, I wonder if we can create an AI chatbot that could sit in the chat rooms and answer all these questions simultaneously. and do it smartly. And thus was born Mina, this is Mina up here. And she had a great personality and she answered questions. She was very friendly. She became really popular and she did a great job. And believe it or not, to this day, she has her own radio show, which is pretty wild, but nonetheless true. So this was my first taste of AI, and I got really interested. I thought, this is pretty cool. So anyway, the community grew, and we got a lot of international press, and then I sold it. And so to start with a couple of quotes relating to AI, one from the Harvard Business Review, which I'm seeing to be true day after day. AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI. And I'm seeing that happen so much, and that's why it behooves any of us who want to really stay on top of things to learn this stuff. And Forbes says AI will add $15 trillion to the world economy by 2030. So, but anyway, as you probably know, especially if you went to my last seminars, AI is advancing at an incredible rate, so much so that every seminar I give, even if they're only a week apart, I have to add new things. And so I'm going to brief cover what we've done so far. Hang on a second, I've just got to mute somebody. There we go. Session 1, we... Okay. I just muted everybody. I hope I didn't mute myself. Can you still hear me? Great. Thanks, Jesse. Okay, so on session 1, we did an overview of what AI is and what it can do, where it's at, and is it a good thing or a bad thing. We looked at ChatGPT and the many alternatives. Session 2, we looked at prompting, how to communicate with the machines. Session 3 tonight, we're going to look at the amazing world of AI images and video and many of the tools. And then next month, we'll be looking at AI tools for many other things. There is a 5th and possibly a 6th one. I'm not sure if the greenhouse is going to do the 6th one or not. The 5th one is a quantum leap that happened last November in AI that gave us the ability to create our own ChatGPTs, which opened up a whole wild universe. And I've built about 80 of these things now, and they handled so many things for myself and my clients. And then the 6th one is basically a free-for-all workshop where you bring all your questions and things you want demonstrated, and we just have at it together. So, a couple of quick updates. Image creation. If you've done much image creation with tools like Midjourney and Leonardo and Stable Diffusion, etc., you know that you give it the prompt and you wait 45 seconds to a minute and then your image appears. Now, with a number of tools, it's instant. You start writing and the AI starts creating. And as you add words to your prompt, the image changes. So it's kind of interactive live. It's a very interesting experience. Gemini, which is Google's variation of ChatGPT, was previously called Bard, not Bird. Because it's Google, it's fabulous for keyword research. And the days of where we had to pay $2,500 a month to people to do keyword research and those kind of things for us, it's not the same anymore because we can do it ourselves for free. They just added what they call a fine-tune option, which is where if you get an answer and you like all of it except one section and you want it to really fine-tune that section, you can just select it and choose to modify it with additional instructions, regenerate it, make it longer or shorter, or remove it. So it's getting even more interactive. Now, Claude 3 and Merlin, which are also competitors to ChatGPT, Claude 3 being the main one. Main difference between ChatGPT and Claude is that ChatGPT has a particular writing style, although in the last session on prompts I showed how to make ChatGPT write in your style, which is very interesting to experience. It does a really good job of that. But what I found is that if you're using ChatGPT to write copy or articles or stories or whatever, it has its own particular style that's a little bit cold. Claude tends to be more aesthetic and write more. I guess you could say poetically, but it's not quite that. It's more than that. It's just that when you want something to be really beautifully written, Claude 3 is really good for that. Merlin is very good for that too, but nothing like Claude 3. But the thing is that these tools have shown quite a tendency to do what's called hallucinate, which means because they are trained to be helpful to humans, they if they don't know something, instead of telling you they don't know it, they make it up. So you've got to be real careful. So I don't use Claude or Merlin for research. I'll use ChatGPT and Gemini because they tend to quote their sources and they tend to be less hallucinations. Claude recently came out with an update where they said that they now have 30% less hallucinations, which isn't much use to me. I don't want 30% less. I want 0 hallucinations. And as you'll see when we go into image stuff tonight, there's a lot of copyright issues, and there's stuff going on in the courts, and there's stuff being thrown out of the courts because so far no one's been able to prove anything. But in March of last year, the US Copyright Office said you can't copyright anything created by an AI. Then in August, they changed it to, well, you can't copyright anything created by an AI, but you can copyright your part in it. So if you wrote the prompt or if you make changes to it, then you can copyright your part in it. But that's really difficult to kind of figure out. How do you figure out? You know, it's 26% me and 23% the frog next door and etc. It's not workable. So at the end of August, they kind of got into discussions that they're still having that basically they're discussing this whole thing with artists to find out what's the best approach. So it's a moving landscape. Things are changing. In the meantime, China came out and announced that you can copyright an AI image. So in America, you can't copyright an AI image except for your part in it. In China, you can. But since it's the internet, you could go and do your work in China, and there are many Chinese image generating sites and now video generating sites, and then bring it back to America. It's pretty weird and wild. It's like the early days of the internet. It's kind of like the wild, wild west. Now, how many here are using ChatGPT? You can answer in the chat. Okay, only 2. I doubt it. I'm sure more of you are using ChatGPT than 2. But anyway, the reason I ask is because a lot of people use ChatGPT primarily for 2 things. One is for research, and the other, and for asking questions. And the other is to have it write copy, or articles, or blog posts, or stories, or whatever, just creative writing. But it actually is capable of a lot more. And I'm going to tell you a couple of quick stories of something that I came across. They actually happened to me in the last month or 2 that really opened my eyes to... Okay, so I'm just looking in the chat here. Use it in editor when I need to communicate something succinctly. Yes, that's a very, very common usage of it. So, but anyway, here's what happened. I was talking to ChatGPT, and I was having it create an app. And I would tell it what I wanted, and it would write the code, usually in seconds, which was great because it used to take months to create an app and write the code. But ChatGPT could write the code and create the app. And so part of what I needed it to do was go out of the ChatGPT environment and go into Google, go into my calendar and get some information, go into my Gmail, get some information, bring it back into ChatGPT, into this app we were building, do some stuff to it. And so ChatGPT built me this app. And then it said, okay, try it. And I did, and it didn't work. And I went, oh no. Because normally what I'd have to do is I'd have to go online, go to a forum or Google or tech support, tell them what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do, what's happening, and what could be the problem or what could be possible solutions. I could easily, and have done many times, wasted 2 to 3 hours trying to debug this thing. And I was just about to go off and do that when suddenly the AI said to me, you know, I think I might know what's going wrong here. Can I check into it and see if I can figure it out? And I said, sure. And right in front of me, it got into communication with the AI at the Google end. They went back and forth for about 20 seconds. And then my AI came back and said, yeah, we figured it out. Try it now. I clicked play and it was perfect. It worked really, really well. So that I found very interesting because it showed me that AI has reached the point where it can reason, where it can act on its own volition without being told to. So I was very curious to experience that. And then I ran into another one about a week later. When I do these seminars, people usually want a copy of the slides. So I give my email address at the end so that people can request the slides. And my plan had been to extract those email addresses, put them in a spreadsheet, and then into a mail program, and then send tips on AI and updates and stuff on AI. But I'd gotten so busy, I hadn't gotten round to doing it. So I finally confronted it, and I went into Gmail, and I said, okay, give me all the people requesting slides. And it turned out to be 1,200. And I went, oh my God, I've got to go in one at a time, extract 1,200 email addresses, one by one, put them into a spreadsheet, then put them into another program. This is going to take me hours, if not days. And then I thought, wait a minute, you use AI. What are you thinking? So I went to ChatGPT and I said, are there better ways to do this? And it immediately gave me 3 much better ways. And the second one looked really good. And I was just about to go off and do that second one when the AI said, hey, would you like me to write you a short script that will automate the whole thing? And I said, hell yeah. And 20 seconds later, I had this short script plus 5 steps of how to implement it. I spent the next 30 seconds doing them. And sure enough, there were my 1,200 emails sitting in Google Sheets, ready to go. Saved me hours, if not days. So I was impressed with that as well. Another thing that if you use ChatGPT a lot, you probably notice that when you finish a conversation and you leave it and you come back sometime later to ChatGPT, it's forgotten what you were talking about. So now they've added a memory function where you can tell it what you want it to remember or forget. It's in beta, so it's a little bit not perfect, but it helps. 11 Labs, who I went into more detail in session 1, is a firm. They're kind of on the leading edge of cloning voices. So it used to be you'd have to give them an hour of your voice and then they would clone your voice, and then anything you typed could be said in your voice. But now it's like 15 seconds of audio and they'll clone you really, really well. But they recently added what they call a dubbing studio, where they'll take your voice and translate it into multiple languages, still using your voice. And they do a very good job with that. And I'm actually a little bit later in the show tonight, I'm going to show you an update that's gone even further than that. That's pretty wild. Gemini, which is, I mentioned, Google's equivalent to ChatGPT, it can watch and summarize a whole video in seconds. And since I do a lot of research on videos, it saves me so much time. Instead of having to wade through 2 hours of a video to find the answer to something I'm looking for, Gemini can summarize the video, tell me exactly where the thing I'm looking for is, and save a great deal of time. It also used to be about a year ago, if you wanted to, say, take your book that you'd written and have ChatGPT act as an editor, clean up the text, the typos, the spelling, the grammar, come up with nicer ways of writing things, whatever it might be, to act as a proofreader and editor. If you tried to put in a 100-page book, you'd have a hard time. It couldn't accept that much information, and you'd have to break it into pieces. Well, now Gemini can import all 7 Harry Potter books, 4,100 pages, which is pretty sweet. I'm going to cover these a little bit later. So this is just that there was a massive breakthrough about a month ago in the area of video, which I'm going to show you. And I'll also show you what Adobe came out with a couple of weeks back, and what came out about a week ago, Udio, which I'll also show you. These are just reminders to me. ChatGPT, as you know, the paid version has image. It will create images if you ask it to. But now they've added editing to those images, such as inpainting, which means you select an area and say add a frog or whatever it is you want to add in that area. And also removing, where they'll remove sections that you don't want and paint in the background what should have been there. Leonardo has added image to video, which means you put in an image and it turns it into a video. There are other kind of tools now doing that. Runway ML. Oh yeah, here we go. Runway ML and Pika are the most famous, but there are more and more of these coming out. Hyper.ai recently added it. But I'm going to show you what this multiple motion brushes means. So you see, this is a still photograph. And in Runway, what we do is we go in and we paint this area and this area a different color, and this area a different color, and we give different instructions as to motion and camera actions, etc., on each of these different things. So we can actually take an image and animate separately in different ways, different parts of the image. So this is an example of that coming up. So that's a simple example of motion brushes. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the graphics tools. And there are many, 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 many AI tools available for creating graphics from text, meaning you write in text what you want the graphic to be or the image to be. I've tested so many of these. My favorites are kind of the granddaddy, Midjourney, which some of you I know have used. Leonardo, which is a close second to Midjourney. Adobe's Firefly 3, and now Stable Diffusion XL, which they've just announced version 3, which is pretty neat. I'm going to show you comparisons between some of these as we move forward. Now, all of these tools have not been good for text, but recently Ideogram 1.0 came out, and it does really great at text. It also, well, I'll cover later what else it does that's kind of revolutionary. And yeah, Midjourney 6 also has text, which is the latest version of Midjourney, but it's not nearly as good as Ideogram, and neither is DALL-E 3, which is built into ChatGPT. Now, as you may know, when you're using ChatGPT, when you're doing a text prompt, it's pretty easy to explain to an AI what you want it to write in text, because text is text. But take a look at what it might take if you want to try and explain to an AI something you see in your mind's eye as an image, and you've got to communicate that to a machine so that it understands it and then can create with it. So the prompts for that are tougher, but you can actually circumvent things by going to ChatGPT and either giving it an image and asking it to describe it and then asking it to write the perfect prompt for Midjourney, or you can just tell it what you want and ask it to write the perfect prompt for the different tools. And so that's a kind of quick workaround, but we'll get into more detail on that shortly. So now we're going to take a look at some images created in Midjourney and Leonardo. Now, what's interesting about this is that the first ones we're going to look at were created by a graphics dabbler, me, when I knew nothing about. All I knew is that maybe that I'd heard that these AIs could create images, but I knew nothing about how to prompt them or what they could actually do. And these were just my first initial tests, just to try and see what it did. And I was pretty amazed at what it did. I'll explain this in a minute, but then we'll take a look at some created by professionals. So when I first wanted to try it out, I asked, of course, for a gorilla receiving his doctorate. And the AI was not judgmental in any way whatsoever. It just created a gorilla receiving his doctorate. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Then I said, okay, what about a bizarre sea creature? And it created that. And I thought, well, this is kind of curious. Then I said, all right, what about a futuristic street scene? And it created this out of nothing. And then I said, okay, what about a car? And I realized, my goodness, car designers and architects can spend 3 to 6 months coming up with 3 to 6 car designs that they present to a car company. Now they can come up with 100 in an afternoon. So it's really speeding up the production of a lot of artists, and that's why so many artists are embracing and using these tools. This was just, a tiger coming out of a bubble, and that's what it did. That was just some kind of AI creature. And now this, I broke all the rules of prompting and just used one word, and that one word was surrealism. And yet somehow the AI absolutely captured surrealism in an image. It did an absolutely remarkable job, I thought. Another sci-fi creature. I asked what humans might look like in the future. And apparently hair has vanished for men in the future. We shall see. Now, this is a photograph, so it must be true. Aliens hanging out with kids in China. Because it's not a photograph, it's AI. It's idea of aliens in China. This one, I just said, create me a landscape in the style of Salvador Dali. And it did this. And what was interesting about this was the following week I had a staff member from the local Dali museum visiting here, and he saw this and was absolutely amazed at how accurately it captured. Even though there is no Dali painting that is this, it definitely is the style. It can get pretty atmospheric when it's doing photographs. Now, these are some created by professionals, and you'll see how it handles lighting and reflections and all sorts of things. It's pretty sophisticated. Now, none of these are photographs. They're all created from scratch by the AI, just given instructions in text as to what to create. But one could be forgiven for thinking it was a photograph. And it can get pretty atmospheric. I'm going to skip through this pretty quickly, but this is an important point. Midjourney, and I'm going to demonstrate this shortly, Midjourney and Leonardo are kind of looser with the prompts, and this can be a source of frustration because you ask them to create something specific, and they create it, but they miss a couple of things that you asked for. They add some things that you didn't ask for, and they change things, and you have to go back and forth before you can get exactly what you want. But Ideogram 1.0, which came out a week or two back, is absolutely amazing at giving you exactly what you asked for. So it's become my go-to for when I want something really specific. Now, I'm going to show you how different image generators handle the simple prompt, a blue cat in a tree with strawberries. So Midjourney, it gives me my blue cat in the tree, but I said strawberries, and it gave me grapes and blueberries. So you see how it changed stuff from the prompt? And so then I said, no, I want strawberries. So then it gave me strawberries. And then I said, okay, zoom out and create what should be in this corner. And it did. And it did a pretty good job. This was Leonardo. Actually, this was an early. Leonardo is a lot better. I should update this. But it's just to show that it gave me 2 strawberries, some loganberries, and heaven forbid, the head of a cat as a strawberry, which is definitely not something I asked for. So that one I had to go back and say, no, that's not what I was looking for. Adobe came into the scene a few months back, and they gave also a blue cat in a tree, but they gave strawberries, but they didn't really integrate them into the image. They just had them kind of hanging loose. So then Firefly 2, which is the upgrade of Adobe's original one, came out, and they started to get the strawberries a little bit more integrated. And same thing here, a little bit more integrated and a slightly better image. Oh, actually, that's DALL-E, which is ChatGPT's version. Then a company called Stable Diffusion, their version 0.9, came out with kind of soft blue cat in a tree with the strawberries kind of more built in. But then came out 1.0, which was, now we're getting somewhere. We got a blue cat in a tree, we got the strawberries making sense in the image. And then I said, okay, now make this photorealistic and make it as if it was taken by a camera. And it did a really nice job. It blurred the background the same way a camera would, and it blurred the strawberries here, and it did sharp focus on the cat and did a very nice cat. So little by little over the last year, these image generators have been getting better and better. And this one was, I think this was Stable Diffusion, yeah. This was asking it for a tropical island. And you can see that it didn't really create much. I mean, it did okay. But look at the difference, how much extra create Midjourney put into the same prompt of a tropical island. It added this hut and the water here and the underwater. Now, admittedly, I didn't specify any of those things, so it may not be, I may have to go back and tweak it, but it's definitely can be very creative. But now they've got controls where you can tell it how much or how little you want it to be creative, or how closer to the prompt you want it to be, or how much you want it to match an image that you're giving it as a reference. Then Adobe came along, and with the same prompt, they added a whole bunch of stuff you could do after the fact. After they've done the image, you could change the colors and tone, the lighting, the composition, you know, which angle it's shot from, and the camera settings. So you had a lot more control after the image was created with Firefly 2, and now Firefly 3 came out a week ago and has taken it to the next level. This was DALL-E, which at that time was better for complex prompts and for text, and for, you know, taking an image and say, okay, take say a similar image and add the sunset. But then again, it's changed the image dramatically. Now they have a command you can give where it will try and keep the image the same, but there are other tools that are much better for consistency. Okay, this is, I found to be an interesting experiment, because I had a client who many years ago created a book, a children's book of nursery rhymes, and these were the images she had in her book. And she asked if we could use AI to kind of make it better. And this is what AI did. It took, we said, fat cats eating pie, it did that. We said Easter Bunny bringing eggs, it did that. This looks like a photograph, but it's not. And it gave us some very nice images that were quite an upgrade. Then we chose a different style, because all these image editors, you can choose often up to 20 different styles. So there we just told it to do a hamster in a bunch of different settings. Then a completely different style again, yet another style. And then on this one, another style, she then said, hey, can AI animate it? So it took the still image and it animated it. And then it created these images, which the client liked very, very much for her children's book, and the children liked them too. And then, of course, all of those can be animated as well. So this is what she had, and this is what she has. So she was very happy with the change, as were her editors and publishers, and the children. Now, Midjourney, a few months back, it used to be that you could create an image and that was it. But they added a few months back something called inpainting, where this one I just put together in Midjourney and just told it, a guy on a planet looking at a distant city, etc. And it created this. And then I said, okay, what about putting a spaceship here? And it did. And it took into account the colors and the lighting and integrated it into the image. So that's a technology called inpainting that more and more tools are now adding inpainting as a capability, including ChatGPT, the paid version. This was an interesting experiment. This was a painting by a client of mine, and what we did is we fed this painting into Leonardo and said, using this as your source inspiration, creates a bunch of roses. And it did. And then we said, okay, blend the two. And it did. So we ended up with a co-creation between the AI and the artist. And the AI, I don't know how much the AI liked it, but the artist definitely liked it. Now, remember I mentioned before that most of these tools are kind of loose with prompts. They don't give you exactly what you want, which can be frustrating and time-consuming. Even though they save you a lot of time, they waste a lot of time by not giving you what you asked for and for giving you things you didn't ask for. So here's a prompt that would bring most any image generator to its knees. A fascinating family portrait of a solid matte red sphere Christmas present perched atop a blue cube wrapped as a Christmas present, with a vivid green Christmas tree standing behind them with a green cloth wrapped around its base. A curious dog is positioned on the right, and a cute cat lounges on the left. So this is what Leonardo did with that prompt. So this orb is supposed to be on top of here, wrapped as a Christmas present. Here the cat is on the right. And here's a third cat. See how it just alters things. And then here's DALL-E 3. Again, the sphere is not on top of the blue cube. It's a red cube. And it's not as a Christmas present. It just doesn't follow the prompt. Midjourney. It decided to add an extra cat on top of a ball, a red ball, not a blue cube. A red sphere. That we did ask for a red sphere, but we did ask for it to be wrapped as a Christmas present. But we didn't ask for an extra cat. And we certainly didn't ask for this bizarre extra dog in a long blanket. So you see how it can be kind of difficult to get what you're looking for. But along came Ideogram. And here's the same prompt, and here's what it did. Exactly what was asked for. You see the difference? We've got the red orb wrapped as a Christmas present, dog on the right, cat on the left. green, blue Christmas present. This is correct. Everything follows what the prompt said. And here's an even more dramatic example. Here the prompt is a rooster made entirely of fried chicken with French fries as its feathers. And then everything else that's asked for here is in the prompt. So when you want to get an image that is exactly what you asked for, I highly recommend that you use ideogram. It'll save you a lot of frustration. And these actually were some book covers. One of my clients who had been spending probably 2 to 3 months trying to get book covers done by Midjourney and Leonardo, and he just wasn't getting what he wanted. He got all these in next to no time from ideogram. So he was really happy. It gave him exactly what he wanted. So that's my plug for ideogram. Ideogram is free. I think you can do like 1,200 images a month or something. So it's hang on, I've got to let some people in. There's people joining late, etc. Okay.
Tony, I already let them in already. So
Oh,
yeah,
thank
don't.
you.
Yeah, I'm in the background hosting, so we're good.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony.
No problem.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, he was able to create exactly what he wanted in next to no time, instead of spending the months he was spending before trying to create what he wanted. So, it will also, you can put in a blurred image and get a sharp image. And there's lots of tools that do this now. Most of these tools are free, and they often have a paid version where they'll do more, or let you do more numbers of things. Now, I mentioned before that Adobe came into the scene. They're the guys who make Photoshop and a lot of the Premiere and a lot of the tools used by photographers and video editors and the like. And they came into AI a little bit late, but they came in with something called Firefly. And they built it into Gemini, which was then called Bard. And now they've built it into Photoshop. And I'll show you in a minute what that means. And also into Adobe Express. And this is their demo video that kind of gives you an idea of some of the things that Firefly can do. So it can do a lot of different things, and recently they've started putting some of these tools into their video editor with rather dramatic results, which I'm going to show you. Now, I mentioned that they'd brought it into Photoshop. Photoshop is this image editor that's kind of the standard for image editing. This is just a low resolution image I picked up off on the web. Now, if you went to a Photoshop editor and said, okay, I want to expand this. I want to fill in here what should be in this part of the image, the same over here. I want to remove this crane seamlessly, and I want to add a chimpanzee here sitting on the railings with its front paws over the front railings. A skilled Photoshop editor could do that. It might take 2 to 3 hours to do it. This is what AI does in 30 seconds. So it filled in the sides, it removed the crane, and it added the chimpanzee with its paws around the railing. So it saves image editors and graphics people incredible amounts of time. Here I said extract the woman from the image, give me a stormy sky, an ocean, and a beach with cheese and basil. And the AI didn't say, what are you thinking? It just did it. So it's limited only by your imagination. It will do anything you want. Now, some of you probably remember finger painting. This is where finger painting has gotten to.
NVIDIA Canvas empowers artists with an AI assistant to paint landscapes quickly and easily. Simple brushstrokes with the intuitive material palette generate lifelike images in seconds, and preset styles modify the lighting and overall look of the resulting image instantly. We have been working on new capabilities to allow artists to paint even more amazing landscapes. With the latest upgrade to the AI model, Canvas paintings are not only 4 times higher resolution, but you'll also notice higher quality and more details in the image. We've also expanded the material palette with 5 brand new materials, such as flowers and straw, allowing you to paint a richer and more diverse set of landscapes. We can't wait to see what you can create with these powerful new features.
So that's another tool. Now, some usage examples, artists can use these tools to create images for album covers. This was created in Midjourney, and then I used Adobe Express and said, give me a font, create a font made out of medieval castles. And 20 seconds later, I had this. It can be used for book covers, social media, blog posts, logos, marketing materials, web pages, video storyboards and thumbnails, and for getting inspiration for your own visual arts projects. Quick note on creativity. Pablo Picasso said, good artists copy, great artists steal. Now, it sounds a bit facetious, but let me expand upon that a bit. You basically have to rework the idea and make it your own. Pablo Picasso could never have painted his breakthrough works of the 1900s without recourse to African sculpture. All creative work builds on what came before. Amongst many, Manet, Monet, Gauguin, Van Gogh, Duchamp, Miro, Kailo, Liechtenstein, Warhol were motivated by former masterpieces to produce their own works of art. So, in 1856, Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres created this. Pablo Picasso used it as inspiration for what he created in 1932. Titian in 1548 created this, and Manet used it as inspiration for his. And the Beatles, they were heavily inspired by American R&B and blues and American rock, and then they created their own original music and became massive inspiration to millions of musicians after them. So it's an endless cycle of artists being inspired by and borrowing from and changing things from other people. Now, I mentioned before tools where you can take a still image and ask the AI to animate it. So here's an example. So you see it's animating the river, the camera motion, the sun, the trees. And you can take any still image and animate it. This one was done by Runway ML, which is free. Now, video, you saw a little bit of the advances of AI in terms of images. It got better, incrementally better, week after week, month after month. And video followed a similar path, but about a year behind. So up until a few weeks ago, all we could get with video was 4 seconds of video and pretty hokey, not high def at all. And these are some examples. They go by pretty fast, so I'll play it more than once. And you'll see that these are the prompts, and this is what the AI created. So you'll see it's promising, but not great. So then somebody came along, actually a guy on Twitter, and he said, let's see what we can do with this technology, even the way it is. So he decided to create a movie trailer. And a movie trailer like this would typically take weeks to create and cost many hundreds of thousands of dollars. After I play it, I'll tell you how it was created, what it cost, and how long it took. Sorry, I was having to mute someone's video that was being very distracting, and in doing that it stopped my video. Here we go. So with that trailer, normally would have cost a few $100,000 and taken a few weeks to create. Using AI, it cost $125 and took 7 hours. And it was done with basically creating the images in Midjourney and then animating them in Runway ML. So that kind of opened a lot of people's eyes to what could be done. And then people started putting together things like this.
I'd like to talk to you about a fresh start on a new world. You'd be making a difference.
You should see your faces.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are not in Kansas anymore. You are on Pandora.
I see you.
I see you.
We have an indigenous population called the Na'vi. They are very hard to kill.
I think he's near.
So that also is not ready for prime time. So we were kind of getting used to, you know, this level of quality, which just was kind of fun, but not really fantastic. But then OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, suddenly announced that for the last year, they'd had 5 guys working on trying to create Hollywood's quality video, which would be a massive quantum leap, which we were expecting to have happen maybe 3 years from now. But it's available now. Now, I'm actually going to go to online to do this, because these videos are so big that PowerPoint it can play them, but playing them across a Zoom line, it's pretty rough. So we're just going to it opened it on a completely different monitor. Let me just get it onto this monitor. There we go. Okay, now I'm just going to show you bits and pieces. Now there's something I need to warn you, and that is that what I'm going to show you is smooth as silk. Not this. Let me find the good stuff. I'm looking for one in particular that will show the degree of quality that's available now. Actually, this one. Now, what I've got to explain here is that even though what I'm actually seeing here is smooth as silk, it's just moving so beautifully and smoothly, by the time it goes through Zoom and the internet, what your guys are seeing, I've learned from experience, is jerky. And I'm sorry about that, but that's it's a Zoom issue. But you can see that the actual quality of the image, even with the jerkiness, you can see the actual quality of the image is a real step up from what we were seeing before. That's an actual train in Scotland that the AI was told to recreate. For you guys to look at it yourself, it's openai.com/index/Sora. I'll put it in the chat so you guys can check it out later, because it's definitely worth seeing. Because here the prompt was just a litter of golden retriever puppies playing in the snow. Their heads pop out of the snow. So you can see it's a whole different quality level than what we were seeing up until a few weeks ago. And instead of being 4 seconds like up to now, they are 60 seconds or more. This one's pretty remarkable because it's a subway, it's a train where it's figured out all what should be in the reflections in the windows and created that, and all again from just from text. It's fabulous at drone shots and underwater shots and nature shots. And whole thing involving numerous extras and actors and whatever. Animated stuff. Disney style stuff. And like I say, after 4 seconds previously, all of this would crumble and fall apart. And yet it's retaining its consistency and everything up to 60 seconds, this clip is. And even though, as I say, it's probably jerky for you guys, it's smooth here. And it's also crystal clear here. unfortunately, Zoom is compressing it a bit. Let's see. The reflections in the glasses, everything. Again, I hope you can see the quality of that. It's a whole different echelon compared to what we were seeing until very recently. On this one, just from a prompt, it created a whole trailer with the close-up shots and the distance shots and everything. I'm going to show you just one more. I wish you guys could see what I'm seeing here with this one, because it's a drone shot that is so smooth and so beautiful, and unfortunately with Zoom it's degraded and jerky. You just have to imagine it being crystal clear and non-jerky. So as you can imagine, Hollywood has gone a little bit crazy since this was announced. So much so that Tyler Perry, who is a billionaire film producer director, he'd planned to expand his studios in Atlanta, spending $800 million, adding another 12 sound stages. And he said after seeing this technology, Sora, he said that that's currently and indefinitely on hold because of Sora. Because it was basically, what's the point? If I want to, he says he believes it could end the need for location shoots and set building. If I wanted to write a scene on the moon, it's text, and AI can generate it like nothing. So there's a bunch of changes occurring in the movie industry, and maybe we'll get better movies. We'll see. Now, this is another technology where AI is coming into its own. You know the term CGI, computer-generated images, where a person like this person is replaced with a robot, like the Terminator or Jurassic Park or any number of movies where it would be far more expensive to build something than create it with a computer. Well, that technology, since it had to be done frame by frame, took months and cost millions of dollars just for a few seconds. Well, not anymore. Whoop.
They say all great stories start with a sense of wonder. And what if bringing those stories to life wasn't limited by our resources, but only by our imagination? Welcome to Wonder Studio, where making movies with CGI is as simple as selecting your actor and assigning a character. The system uses AI to track the actor's performance across cuts and automatically animates, lights, and composes the CG character directly into the scene. Whether it's one shot or a full sequence, Wonder Studio analyzes and captures everything from body motion, lighting, compositing, camera motion, and it even tracks the actor's facial performance. All the artist needs is a camera. Filmmaking is a medium of creativity and collaboration between artists. There's no AI that can replace that. Wonder Studio was built to empower those artists while still keeping the existing 3D process in mind. Alongside the rendered results, Wonder Studio gives you the ability to export the individual layers you need to deliver your final visual effects shot. Whether it's lighting, camera, or animation, you can maintain full control and make detailed adjustments in 3D space. From the paintbrush, to the typewriter, to the camera, tools have always been an extension of the artist, a means to help our voices be heard. With Wonder Studio, we hope the world hears yours.
So, like I say, instead of millions of dollars for a few seconds, now it's $99 a month. This is a technology that you've probably seen where basically you upload a picture of yourself and your voice, and it clones your voice, and it animates your picture so that the lips move in sync with what you're saying or what the voice clone is saying that you wrote. And the technology on that, in the next one, I'm going to show you something pretty remarkable in terms of what came out about a week ago that takes this to a whole new level in terms of stunning realism. Now, it used to be that when you created a video in American and you wanted to have that video be able to be understood by people all over the world, you had to recreate or redo the video in different languages. Now, with AI, as you'll hear, you can take your American voice, your original video, and have AI change it into any number of other languages, but still in your voice and with your lips syncing to the new language, which is pretty wild. And here's an example.
With a couple clicks, you can now speak a new language in your own voice with your lips synced up while retaining your facial expressions and hand movements. Parlez une nouvelle langue avec votre voix, vos lèvres synchronisées, conservant expression faciale et mouvement des mains en quelques clics. わずかなクリックで自分の声で新しい言語を話し、口と顔の表情、指の動きを保ちながら話すことができます。Met een paar klikken spreek je nu een nieuwe taal in je eigen stem. होंठ सिंक करते हैं, चेहरे के भाव और हाथ की गतिविधियों को बरकरार रखते हैं. Agora você pode falar um novo idioma com sua própria voz e lábios sincronizados, Gesichtsausdrücke und Handbewegungen beibehalten. Ora puoi parlare una nuova lingua con la tua voce, sincronizzando le tue labbra, 同时保持嘴唇同步，保留面部表情和手势。
So, I just realized I forgot that for you guys, it wasn't in sync at all because it was going through Zoom. But in the real world, his lips are perfectly in sync with what he's saying. So, yeah, that wasn't as exciting for you as it was for me. Sorry about that.
With a couple clicks.
Whoop. Now, Adobe recently added some of their these tools are called generative AI, where they're generating images and stuff, but now they've added this to video. And this is a real kind of breakthrough.
Adobe is using the power of generative AI to deliver the most advanced and precise editing tools ever in Premiere Pro. Let's take a look at some features coming soon powered by our new Adobe Firefly video model that'll transform how editors work. One common editing challenge is finding something in a shot you need to add or replace. The Object Edition feature in Premiere Pro, combined with Adobe's Firefly video model, lets you add or change objects and footage with a text prompt. Make a selection, write a prompt, and add anything you can imagine. These diamonds were created by the Firefly video model currently in development. And not only can you add objects, but you can easily remove them too. Object removal with AI-based smart masking makes selecting and removing objects across frames quick and precise. Here, this distracting utility box is removed with Firefly. Remove unwanted props, crew or gear, or copyrighted elements like brand logos. And with Premiere Pro, all your edits are non-destructive, so you can always get back to your original footage. When your clip is too short and you want to hold on a shot or a character for an extra beat, Generative Extend intelligently adds frames with Firefly, extending your footage, so you have the exact media you need. Like here, where we extend this shot of the woman a few frames. As we continue to innovate, we're committed to transparency through the use of content credentials. Now coming to Premiere Pro, so you always know whether AI was used in the creation of the media you're viewing. We can't wait to bring these Firefly-powered video editing workflows to Premiere Pro later this year. And there's more. We're excited to share our explorations around giving editors the choice to use models that work best with their footage. Here are some early examples of how third-party generative AI models could look within Premiere Pro, like Pika, powering Generative Extend to make a scene flow better. From OpenAI, here's an example of their Sora model, currently in early research, generating B-roll for any scene. Through simple text prompts, Sora creates variations for you to choose from. Here's the same use case now using Runway AI's video model, generating a new video clip and adding it to the timeline in a snap. And content credentials coming to Premiere Pro this year will always make transparent whether AI was used and what model was used in the creation of media. To recap, revolutionary features like Object Add, Remove, and Generative Extend, powered by the new Adobe Firefly video model, are coming to Premiere Pro. And we're excited to show early research explorations with our friends at OpenAI, Runway, and Pika, so editors have the freedom to use the best model for their project. It's Adobe Premiere Pro, supercharged by AI.
So filmmaking is also going to be revolutionized. Now, what about music? Let's see if I'm just going to go back here. Interesting technology. This earlier today was working perfectly, but now it's not. Let me see if I can get it to work online. Yes. Okay. So there are a number of music generators. There are quite a number that will generate just straight music tracks that you can use in background music for your video and for games and stuff like that. But two new ones came out recently, one called Suno and one called Udio, and they're kind of fighting with each other for dominance. But they create entire songs from scratch. They create the lyrics, or use your lyrics or ChatGPT's lyrics. They create the instruments, the melodies, the harmonies, the voices, everything. And I'm going to show you a few examples.
I swear the blossoms catch my eye. They make me feel right. They make me feel right.
Here's another one.
Pulling me close. You're pulling me close. I'm here watching rain, no one knows. No one's good enough to take over it all. Can't stand the rain. Ooh, it brings back thoughts of you again.
and it's got dozens and dozens of different styles and males and country and just about anything. So you can create complete songs from nothing in minutes. So it's pretty wild. So of course the music business is having interesting reactions. So to wrap up, no matter what your views on AI might be, there's no denying that it will majorly impact your life and already has in ways you may not even be aware of. AI is not going away, but it's merely a tool to assist the creative genius of artists and humans. It's a tool that can shorten the gap between inspiration and result. Artists are alive and humans are alive and AI is not. An artist can look at a Midjourney generated work and see how to improve it or make it his own. As the CEO of NVIDIA said, these tools aren't a replacement for human creativity. They augment the skills of artists and marketing professionals to help them feed demand from clients by producing content more quickly and in multiple forms tailored to different audiences. AI can amplify and supercharge creative people and make their lives easier. Some creative professional artists feel that AI gives them, quote, superpowers, enables them to take their art to a whole new level. This guy said, I'm an art director, graphic designer. I stumbled into AI and generative art about 3 months ago. At first I thought I'd been made completely redundant. But thankfully, as I dove into using AI, I realized that it's just another tool, and if it's placed in the hands of a skilled user, it has incredible potential. AI gave me superpowers. I created a mock campaign for Osprey backpacks to pitch them for graphic design work super quickly using generative art and AI, and I just got my first design project with them. While AI can certainly aid in the creative process by generating ideas or suggesting alternative approaches, it will never be able to replace the uniquely human element of artistic expression fully. Okay, I just saw what two things in the chat. I just want to mention in the chat here, don't put your email address into the chat. I'll give you my email address at the end to send me your request for the slides. It'll get lost in the chat. And also, Eric says if you have any questions after the workshop, please email him. I'm actually going to wrap up in a moment, and there'll be a few minutes for questions that you guys can put in the chat or through your microphones. But anyway, human imagination and individuality are what drive true innovation in any artistic field. AI is likely to be used by artists, musicians, and other creators, mainly to the extent that it suits the needs of their creative process. But like with any technology, evil people can use it for evil deeds, and good people can use it for good. Luckily, good people are the majority. Might not always seem that way, but it is factually the case. Now, if you want to try out some of these AI tools and also see a breakthrough that I'm going to go over next month, but if you want to get a head start on it, if you go to this address, you'll be able to check some of those things out and see the next stage in AI. And as promised, here's my email address. If you want the slides, send an email to this address. And also you can request a free AI consulting session where I'll sit down with you either in person if you're local or via Zoom and go over how AI could help you and which tools will be best for you to use and how to use them. So now, any questions? You can put your questions in the chat or you can ask them with your microphone. Or carrier pigeon. Although the latter might take a little time to arrive. No questions? Okay. Did you see Sora's? Yeah, Wayne. Hi, Wayne. Good to see you. Thanks. Yeah, I saw Sora's music video. I actually saw it this morning. Wayne is referring to a director called Paul Trillo who created a music video using entirely Sora, and it was pretty wild. It showed that I mean, to do what he did and what he filmed, and the multiple sets and the multiple people, could easily have cost millions of dollars, and it didn't. It was done in Sora, and it was extraordinary. LDM says, thank you for such an informative session. You're very welcome. Define local. Well, I should let you know, I'm in Clearwater, Florida, so that would be local. So anyone who's near to Clearwater, Florida can do it in person. Which apps would you recommend for images and video that are free to try? Leonardo is free, and if you wanted to follow what you're asking for really well and do text really well, Ideogram 1.0. And for video, Runway ML, Pika's kind of difficult to work with. Oh, Hyper, HAIPER.ai is also good for turning images into video. Okay, any other questions? Oh, I'll put it in the chat. There, hyper.ai. And thanks, Rebecca. I got your slide request in my email, which is okay. So did you guys learn anything new or anything you could use? Anybody?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, good. Thanks.
I'm sorry. Yes, Tony. I want to thank you. I'm sorry I was so busy with some of the things. I'm going to be emailing you on doing some AI stuff. Just want to say hi to Wayne back over there too.
Yeah.
But also, are you going to be at the greenhouse again live? Or are you going to do those
I'm going to do it virtual from my home again.
Okay. I've been to greenhouse several times under different businesses and stuff I do. So I'm an inventor, manufacturer, and some other things. So.
Oh, cool. So you're in the Inventors Council?
Yes.
Oh, cool. I thought I recognized you. Oh, yeah. Deanna says, this has been wonderfully intimidating as well as exciting. Yeah, absolutely. This has been enlightening. Good, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I was pretty blown away when I first discovered this stuff. I've been using AI in multimedia for about 3 years, but mostly in the audio field. But then when ChatGPT came out, it really opened up a whole new world. And then when these image generators and video generators came out, that took it to a new level. And then the stuff that, as I say, you can get an idea of here takes it to a whole new level beyond all this. Okay, so unless there's any other questions. Oh, you're still here, Tony, from Echo Dev Workforce.
Of course.
Brave lad.
You know what? I'm going to have to agree about an earlier comment. This AI stuff is very, it can be very intimidating.
Yeah.
And I consider myself fairly computer literate. So very great stuff. You know, normally in person, this is where I applaud you and I give her. So hopefully my mic's pretty decent for the applause. Very tough. And just want to mention a couple of things, a couple of closing statements. Let's see how we can share my screen.
Oh, let me give you that permission.
Okay, great.
I'll stop sharing and I'll turn on your sharing. Okay, you've now got sharing.
All right, I got sharing. And do you see my Zoom or do you see my greenhouse?
Right now I see your face.
Okay, let me see. Share screen. It must be this button here. So let me try this out. See if this works. And bingo.
Yep. There
All
it
right.
comes.
Do you see? All right,
Yep.
great. So just a couple of quick things with the greenhouse. You have one of the exciting things about on our website, you can get business assistance through our business navigation. And I'm just clicking through right now. This is where you hit a submit a request. So you have opportunities to work. The best way for me to describe is kind of like a big brother, big sister type program. So if you're looking for a business mentor or navigator, this is of course no charge. And these are experts like Tony here on various different types of fields. So I definitely recommend it if you're looking for that competitive edge in the business world. Other things, as you may know, right now we're in a virtual meeting. A lot of our meetings are in person. And so we have that option, but you also have the option of our online library. Let's see how quickly that'll work. And with there, there's our schedule for our meetings this month. Let me go back to the previous screen here. All our events or training workshops. Now, I have to speak to the manager at the greenhouse to see about part 1 and 2 of the AI that may be in the process of being uploaded, but you can go right there. You can see our video library. For the most part, pretty much 95% of our classes have already been recorded. So for some crazy reason, if you have insomnia or you're really bored, 2 o'clock in the morning, you want to watch something informative from the greenhouse, we have an entire library for that. Besides that, how many of you heard of 1 Million Cups? Great. That is a awesome networking event that we have every Wednesday at 9 a.m. What's included with that is the opportunity. Typically, we'll have 2 presenters that will pitch their business idea. And the ultimate goal, and if you happen to present at the 1 Million Cups, you automatically qualify for our St. Pete Pitch Night, which is basically, I don't know how many of you have seen Shark Tank. It's a lot like Shark Tank. And the people who do the St. Pete Pitch Night, which I believe it's near the end of the summer, if you happen to pitch and you win, you can win up to $5,000 toward your startup. Outside of that, I think we have everything covered with Tony. If you have any questions for Tony, please send it through the chat or in the mic. We will be emailing the survey reminders because that's essential again for us to evaluate the classes and to give us opportunity to see what other classes you guys may have interested in. Outside of that, everybody have a wonderful evening. I'm going to hand it back to Tony.
Well, thank you all very much for coming, and thank you for your interactions and your questions. And hope to see you at the next one. So I'm going to close the meeting. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
You too. Bye.